So, Angie, thanks for being here today. You've just recently completed the Happy Without Histamine Method program with me, and it's been so lovely to see your results. I think they blew me away. So, what we'll do first is we'll just start with if you could let everyone know before you started and when you joined up, where were you at with your symptoms and with your mindset and everything that made you think there's something else I need to do here?
Yeah, well, I would say I pretty much just had given up at that point. I had been sick for many years. I'd tried multiple things, even lots of natural and holistic things, and just kept getting sicker and sicker to the point where before I came to you, I was 100% fed via TPN through a port. I was on oxygen. I was bedbound, wheelchair bound. I couldn't stand. I mean, I could just barely hobble to the bathroom, and that was it. I've had 11 surgeries. Some things were better after that, but it never ultimately fixed me. And I was ready to give up. I had already talked with my palliative care team about stopping the TPN, which was the only thing keeping me alive, and just dying. Because the two paths that I could see for myself were either I stop the TPN and I die fairly quickly, or I keep receiving the TPN and I just continue getting weaker and weaker as I'm bedbound, and pretty soon I'm just completely wasted away. And then it's a long, agonizing death, which ultimately I saw death as the result in the not too distant future, because I was reacting to the TPN as well. It wasn't without its own adverse effects. So I had already written goodbye letters to my kids. I had given my husband all of the passwords for different things on the computer that he would have to follow up with. And I reached out to one last doctor who I flew to Kansas City to see. And he said, I believe that a large component, if not the root cause of what's going on with you, is MCAS. And so I went back home. I talked with my PCP, who had tried me on cromolyn and a couple of antihistamines. And I noticed that after a little while, some of my symptoms started to get better. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe it is MCAS. I never had a diagnosis. They never did any testing. And so I just started researching and reading. I bought Dr. Afrin's book on MCAS, what is the title of that? Never Bet Against
Occam. Yeah, it's a very dense book.
Yes, it is. And I read the whole thing. And then I started researching online, because I've always wanted to do things holistically. I did not want to just take antihistamines and cromolyn for the rest of my life. I wanted to address the root cause. So I found a couple of different MCAS histamine intolerance programs, and one of them had a really long wait list. There was no way I could wait that long to get in, and you had an opening right away. So I had the discovery call with you. I watched your webinar first, and that was really my only chance. It was the only thing left to me that might possibly help. I didn't have high hopes at the beginning, but I thought, this is one last thing. Let's just give it a try.
And you had been given various kind of labels, diagnoses as well prior, hadn't you?
Yes. I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the hypermobile type. I did have MALS, median arcuate ligament syndrome, that they were able to correct surgically. I'd had a total hip replacement. I had a diagnosis of hypokalemic periodic paralysis, which was debilitating. I had POTS, horrible POTS. My heart rate would regularly be above 180 just standing. I was on IV fluids every single day, a liter of IV fluids in addition to my TPN. I had bladder problems, severe bladder problems. I had to cath every single time I needed to use the bathroom. They never really knew for sure what the cause was of that, but I thought that I had constant UTIs. And it turned out later on that I found out, no, that was actually histamine MCAS in my bladder. I did get some severe UTIs, probably just because I was cathing. So you do risk introducing bacteria. So yeah, that's a few of them. There's probably more that I'm not remembering right now, but it was a whole collection.
You had a whole collection. And you know, when you started with me, you had just started to get off the TPN, just so people understand, total parenteral nutrition, which is being tube fed, is not my speciality. But the fact that you had been able to start to eat some food meant that it was the perfect time to start working with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so by the time you finished the program then, which was 16 weeks or so later, what tangible changes did you experience?
I would say, first of all, not just by the end of the program, but by the end of the first month, it was so fast. It was faster than I ever imagined. By the end of the first week of doing the diet and the nervous system work, I already saw dramatic decreases in a lot of my symptoms. I was able to stop my IV fluids. My heart wasn't going crazy anymore. My blood pressure was no longer 70/40. It was holding its own without the fluids, and it hadn't done that for decades. And then by the end of the first month, I was eating, well, by the end of the first week, I was eating everything orally. I wasn't on TPN at all. I was able to eat. I wasn't getting in a lot of nutrition, but I was getting in some. And then with each week, I was able to get in more and more. And then by the end of the first month, I told people, I said, there's no going back. I know that I am healing. And before that, I believed that my conditions were incurable and that it would be a death sentence. By the end of the program, I have 100% function back. I am taking my kids to the museum. I'm going grocery shopping by myself. I'm driving. I hadn't driven forever. I'm on my feet almost all day, cooking and cleaning and homeschooling the kids and gardening and everything. Like, I feel 100% normal.
Yeah. So you said your labs were perfect when you had your last checkup. So you didn't have anemia. You didn't have any other issues like that, which is amazing. And you said you just went and recorded a song, which is something that was one of your dreams, to go and be able to go back and do that again. And it's been amazing how well you've done, and in such a short period of time. So we did your symptom questionnaires at the start. We always ask people to tick a whole bunch of boxes showing us what their symptoms were like. And at the start, yours was 157. And at the end, it was 16. So that's just such a dramatic improvement. 16 is the occasional thing that pops up very rarely.
Yep.
So, that's insane. And your digestive total went from 95 down to only 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just amazing. You have also said that you now have good sleep, good energy, and you're feeling better in yourself as well, calmer.
Yes.
Yeah. So were there any other benefits to the program you didn't expect?
I would say everything. Everything was a bonus. The only reason that I joined was because what was actively killing me were the digestive symptoms, because I couldn't eat. My stomach pain was so horrific, I couldn't even get a bite of food in or even a sip of water. And so I thought, if this helps me be able to eat, then I can stop the TPN, which was causing all kinds of problems of its own. So that was my only expectation going into the program, was that I would be able to eat, my stomach pain would be better. Everything else, I had no idea that I would experience my POTS going away. my voice, the histamine affected my voice. I wasn't even able to speak with clarity and strength. My voice came back. I can sing again. My muscle strength, my hypokalemic periodic paralysis, which is a genetic condition. I was diagnosed with a compound muscle action potential, EMG. It was diagnosed by specialists, a muscular dystrophy specialist at a university hospital. It's gone. And what's really interesting is the couple weeks ago, I had a nervous system trigger, an emotional stress, and it was quite a significant emotional stress. And my myoclonus came back for about 10, 15 minutes, and my muscle paralysis started to happen. And by the time I was able to regulate my nervous system again, those symptoms were gone. So that was proof to me that it is absolutely related to my nervous system, because nothing else happened. I didn't eat something wrong. Wasn't exposed to mold. It was purely nervous system.
Wow, that's really, really good. And if you hadn't started the program and started working with me when you did, what do you think would have happened? Where do you think you'd be now?
I would have been dead for at least 3 months at this point. Yeah, my kids would not have a mother. My husband was already prepared to be a single dad. Absolutely, I would be dead.
And so how likely are you to recommend this program then to other people who think that they may have mast cell activation syndrome issues or histamine issues or other chronic illness problems?
Yeah. Well, considering that after about 2 weeks in the program, I was already telling all my friends about it, probably 100%. I do have a friend who has lupus. I have other friends with EDS, and I'm just telling them, you have to do this program. You have to do this program. I know it will help.
And how would you describe your outcome from the course to somebody else who's thinking of getting help?
I would say it's life-changing. I mean, it literally saved my life. It gave me back so much additional quality of life that I never expected. I literally feel like I'm starting over again. I feel better than I did now than when I was 20, maybe ever, because I've had symptoms my whole life. And so only now I feel like the door to the world has opened, and I'm actually able to go out and go shopping on my own and go to the mall and go, do things with my family. I've been hiking, I've been swimming. It's like a brand new life.
That's wonderful. So good to hear. And I love that little quote that you said to me before. You said, now it feels like my brain's not in control, but I'm in control.
And it's kind of funny because your brain really is in control. If you didn't have your brain, nothing would function, right? But at the same time, before, my nervous system was out of control, and I could not regulate what my brain was telling my body to do. And my brain was in this state of fight, flight, or freeze for so long that my body systems were malfunctioning and shutting down. And now I feel like I can tell my brain, no, that's not right. That's not productive. Let's do this other thing. And it listens and it responds. And it's just amazing.
Yeah. And that's the secret sauce of this program, is combining that nervous system work as well as the diet and the supplements and the lab tests and all of those things, because it's not just one thing. It's the combination of everything together that makes the difference, I think.
And that's why I didn't have success for decades when I did very, very healthy diets. I did chiropractic. I had acupuncture. I had every kind of alternative and natural approach possible. And I would get a little better. I'd have a little symptom relief, but ultimately it never was the answer because no one was addressing the nervous system. And so my message to anyone watching this video is, don't just do the low histamine diet, because then all you're doing is restricting the food you can eat for the rest of your life. you have to do the nervous system too, so that then when that's healed, you can go back to eating a diverse diet.
Yeah, and we did a little bit of gut work and a little bit of other things as well. But it's about knowing that there's no one thing that does it. It's about bringing everything together. And you were beforehand. You had the perfect diet. You'd done all the things right, but that's the difficulty. Sometimes we're doing all the things right, but it's just that thing we haven't heard about yet.
Yep.
It's like as soon as you find out about it, then it's like now it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, if there's one last thing you'd like to say to people before we go, what would that be?
I would just say, hearing my 5-year-old daughter say when I'm tucking her into bed, she's saying her prayers and she says, Jesus, thank you for giving me my mommy back. And like, I don't care if your program was 10 times the cost, 10 times as long, 10 times as hard. To hear that is worth everything.
It's so lovely. I'm really thankful for you because seeing your kind of results keeps me going, and it makes me really, really happy to be able to help people. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I owe you my life.
Oh, thanks. You're gonna make me cry. It just, for me, just, yeah, knowing that I've made such a difference for somebody, it just, yeah, it keeps me going. And that was my mission when I was bedbound and housebound and unwell, and I just was like, when I get better, and I knew I was going to get better, I'm gonna get back. And yeah, it makes me feel so thrilled, so moved to see your results.
Well, I hope this is the motivation for other people to just do it, to take the plunge and just stop waiting, stop letting life pass you by, stop letting your kids grow up not being able to take them to the park. Just do it.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for your message, Angie.